Now you can see that we have our background photo that we would like to match our model to. So if we right click on the screen, we can select camera target, right click again, select camera, so we can go back and forth. Now we have the camera, we can go to the modifier tab and we can change the focal length, for example, and zoom in quite a lot. So that's where we can control that. Obviously, if we select the camera target, we can move the camera around like this. So the first thing I typically do is to find relevant reference buildings to match to. If I just lower this a little bit, you can see the two most important reference buildings to get this correctly matched. In this case, I would say is the black diamond over here, especially this edge, which is this edge here in the model, and this house, Christian IV's brewery house, which is this in the model, and then this edge here to this edge here. If we can fit this, the rest will be matched correctly. Then the last thing is just to have this height of the harbor front exactly on this height in the harbor front there. So let's try to do that. The first thing is to grab the camera target and just more or less make it central for this edge here and this edge here, and then go to the camera and then just dial in the zoom amount. Now you can see we're closer, we're closer, we're closer. Now you can see if we take the target again, just move the target just a little bit and then a little bit higher like this. You can see this edge here in the model is very close to the picture, just as the Christian IV brewery house and the black diamond edge over here. So we just have to make it a little bit higher like that. Then go into the camera again. You can see we are very, very close now. Like that, for example. And so a way we can have this height more or less the same as the harbor front height here is to place your cursor just on the edge on the harbor front and then press F3 like that. It's very hard to see the picture actually, so the way we can do that is to click on the harbor front, isolate the harbor front. Is that the correct harbor front? Go into the picture, isolate. And as you can see, this is more or less perfect here because you have the harbor front over here, just continues down here. So it's very, very close. The way I always make a control whether this is perfect or not is obviously just to take a rendering test and just drag drop the rendering test over the underlying photograph. And then I can just zoom in all the way to a few pixels and see whether it's perfect. So this is the process. It's not that hard. It's not absolutely 100% correct. You can also see, for example, if you go over here, this is the model, but this is the picture. And it's not precise there, but it is precise over here. And that is exactly what happens in typically either on pictures from Google Maps or pictures you have stitched yourself. If you want to make a correct, so to speak, match, you have to take one picture and one picture only, and then match your model to that picture, and then later on stitch in Photoshop on the edges of that picture. As a side note, there's a lot of talk on the internet about focal length multiplier and what's the focal length multiplier for a Google Maps and so forth. In this specific case, as we just done here, if we take the match camera here and go into the modifier tab, you can see our focal length is 12 to 13 millimeters in a 36 millimeter sensor, which is the standard full frame DSLR cameras, which is very wide angled. But this view we have screen dump from Google Maps, it's a screen dump from a wide-angled picture. And it doesn't matter what the angle is because we're just matching, the buildings here. So we know this is the correct focal length. We don't have to look it up. So that's another plus with this way to match a camera. When I take my pictures myself, I know exactly all the metadata. I know the lens and so forth. I can just type in the absolute correct focal length and so forth. Sometimes the other way around where you just don't think about focal length multiplier, just match with reference buildings in the picture and then make test renders and apply corrections. That's the best way I've found. If you found this video useful, the full course is available at catman.dk. How architects sell projects today.